really crappy back in high school. It wasn't actually that bad, it was just really slow. So,
Hello, JD.
Hey Cameron, how are you?
I'm good. Do you know around what time we're gonna end?
It'll be 2 hours, so 9 o'clock.
Okay.
yeah, because it was a weird.
It's an Apple map.
Yeah.
I thought about that for a second.
Did you send the Apple Map thing, or did you just send the link? The Apple address?
Well, I went here. And I put in maps and it
No,
ended up.
because it was like save as a contact.
I was like, no, share it. Share.
No. I saw you like 2 days ago.
No. Fragments of your sweat angels on the floor.
It's disgusting. Is that a good thing to say?
I don't know, it's disgusting.
For those of you that are online, if you are on the YouTube page, if you scroll down just a little bit, you can click on the booklet. You can keep a copy of this on your computer, or you could print it off. If you can hear me, those of you that are online, if you could send me a remind message through Remind and just say, yes, I can hear you, or no, I can't. Thank you. So I'll be checking my cell phone for those messages. Great. So I got a few of you replying saying that you can hear me online, so that's excellent. We're going to start in just a couple minutes. For those of you that are at home, grab a cup of coffee or some tea, and we'll start in about 2 minutes. For everybody in the room, does everybody, all the students have one of these booklets? Okay, we're gonna get started. So this is the senior spring boot camp class, and it is my favorite time of the year when all of our hard work starts coming to fruition as we get acceptance letters and award letters and all of that stuff. So here's your first taste of college. Everything that I'm going to be lecturing on is going to be on the PowerPoint and the slides. There's a lot more information that's in the booklet, so please review the booklet. So what's going to happen when you go to college, some of the professors are going to lecture on slides or on their notes, and then they're going to say, homework for this week is to read chapters 1 through 5. And what's in chapters 1 through 5 may be completely different or add on to all the things that that professor is talking about, or vice versa. So please review that booklet. So who, what, where? Don't be alarmed, take a deep breath. It's all going to work out in the end, okay? So let's talk a little bit about your timeline. All of the applications should already be submitted. If you have not checked your application status recently, then do that now. Does the college have all of your test scores, your transcripts, any fees, recommendation letters, supplemental stuff, anything? We want to verify that the college has received all that stuff. I want to tell you, I got a lot of really happy stories to tell you. I've got some sad stories to tell you as well. And one of those is about Ian, who got into a highly competitive college in Columbia with his tentative, and he got a tentative scholarship package. But that letter said, congratulations, we're holding a spot for you. The only thing that we need is we need your final transcripts, and every college is going to want your final transcripts. And you'll send in your final transcripts sometime in June after you graduate. And this college wanted his recommendation letters. Oh, so he went, and this was back in December. He went and he talked to his teacher. Hey, I applied to this college. I got admitted. They want a recommendation letter. Can you write it for me? And the teacher said yes. And Ian promptly forgot to follow up. Flash forward a couple months, and now we're sitting at April. He got another letter from the college that said, too bad, so sad, you ain't coming here because we never got a recommendation letter. That could have been easily corrected by checking and making sure that the college has everything. So you want to check your application status by doing one of these things: calling the recruiter or your contact, or log on to your college account, or email your recruiter. Okay? The easiest is to log on and check your student portals. And when you log on to your student portal, if you have not set those up yet, you should have gotten a letter, or once you do get an acceptance letter, you should get a letter or an email from the college that says, here's the link to set up your portal, and they'll give you a temporary password. You'll create that portal, and when you log in, it will state what your application status is. We have received your transcripts. Yes. We have received your recommendation letters. Yes. We have received your final transcripts. Pending. That's going to be pending at every college. So we want to check that, make sure that the college has everything. We don't want to get a surprise later on. If you applied via Common App, you can log on to Common App and you can see if they downloaded it. There should be a date on there that says the college has downloaded it. Trust but verify. We're going to trust that Common App is accurate, but we're going to verify by checking with the college itself, making sure that they have everything. Most of you applied earlier on in the fall, and after you applied, if you have any new accolades that you've accomplished, we want to let that college know that. Because what happens with a lot of students is they go on autopilot. We want to let the college know that we are still being proactive. And we want to let the college know anything new and awesome about you. So were you promoted at your job, or maybe you got a new job, or maybe you were, maybe you made team captain, or maybe you won a speech contest. Did you go to nationals for robotics? Did you make the improv team? Did you get promoted at Civil Air Patrol? Anything, any accolade that you have achieved after you've applied to the college, we want to let them know. And that could be the one extra thing that helps you get into some of these highly selective colleges. So the college needs to know that you are still moving forward and not on autopilot because of senioritis. So here's my big scare. Beware of senioritis. There's only a couple more months of school. Enjoy your last few months, yes, but continue to move forward. Final grades do matter. So I want to tell you about Ethan. That's not his real name. His real name is not Ethan. to protect the guilty. He was admitted to University of Arizona and got a really nice scholarship package based on his junior, sophomore, and freshman grades and his test scores. And in his senior year, he got a terminal case of senioritis. His grades plummeted. You can see it with my left hand on the screen. His grades plummeted, and when U of A received his final transcripts in June, University of Arizona revoked all of his scholarships. You want to come to our school? Now we're giving you 0 scholarships. Now you got to pay. Mom and Dad were not happy with that one. That could be easily alleviated by keeping your grades up. The worst case scenario is they could have rescinded his freshman seat. Sorry, you're not even coming here. Okay? So bad grades can do that, as well as a felony charge, including getting caught with drugs or underage drinking. So please don't waste a good scholarship package on being lazy, and don't waste a good scholarship package on getting arrested. And then also don't lose your scholarship package because your grades dropped below the renewal criteria. So when you are a freshman, you will get that same scholarship package the next year, your sophomore year, as long as you maintain whatever the minimum GPA is. And at ASU, the minimum is 3.0. I had a student who finished up his freshman year at ASU with a 2.95 GPA. 0.05. That's one more assignment turned in on time. And he lost his scholarship package. So moving on with our timeline. So definitely keep up your grades the last few months. February and March is when acceptance letters come out. Colleges that are not rolling admission will notify students of admission sometime in February or March. If you have not received your welcome acceptance package yet, don't worry, but you want to double check your status and verify that it's not being held up by something. So for some colleges, you've already heard back from those colleges that you have been admitted. Congratulations. And for some colleges, you're waiting to hear back, and that might be in the next month or so. Then in April is when the award letters are sent out. So you may already have an award letter. If you don't have an award letter, don't fret just yet. Double check your status. Make sure they have everything. And award letters should be sent out fairly soon. The award letter and the acceptance letter are two different things. The acceptance letter says, congratulations, you've got a spot. The award letter is like an invoice, and it's going to spell out everything that the college is going to give you and ultimately what your bottom line is for 1 year at that college. We'll dissect the award letter in a moment. And then May 1st is decision day. This is the day that you will notify colleges that you will or will not be attending. For the school that you will be attending, you're going to send in your deposit and confirm your scholarships and grants, loans, work study, whatever it is that you're going to be accepting. Okay? What some colleges are doing is they're sending out these letters now that says, congratulations, you've been admitted. We cannot guarantee a dorm spot. You've got 30 days to make a decision. Mail in your deposit right now. And NAU seems to be playing that game this year, and U of A likes to play that game as well. If you get that letter and it is more than 30 days from May 1st, by law, they must offer you an extension until May 1st. So you can just simply reach out to the recruiter and say, hey, I'd like an extension until May 1st because I haven't heard back from all of the other colleges. Okay? So when you do get all of your award letters and you finally decide this is the one school I'm going to go to, you'll mail in your deposit to that one school. For all the other colleges that you were admitted to, most students are going to send a decline letter. Hey, thank you very much that I've been admitted, but I'm going to decline and go to this other school. We are not going to do that. We are going to do nothing. So for the one school, we will say, yes, we're coming to your school. We'll click on that yes button on the website, or we'll put that checkmark yes on the postcard and send in our deposit. But for the other schools, we're going to do nothing. The reason why we're going to do nothing is because what I found out is that there are some colleges that will reach back out to you in May, maybe June, and say, hey, we haven't heard from you, yes or no, but we would like you to come to our school, and how about we give you some extra dollars, okay? So we're gonna try and squeeze some extra scholarship and grant dollars out of these colleges by doing nothing. Then once you have that, you have two options. Option number one is to go to that new school that just gave you more money. And what would happen with the first school is you would lose your deposit. Now, if the cost difference is worth losing the deposit, then it might be prudent to go to the new school. That's option number one. Option number two is for you to take that new award letter from that new school and go back to your previous school and go, oh, this school just reached out to me and offered me an extra $1,000. What can you do? Okay? And sometimes they say yes. In June, you will request your final transcripts to be sent to the college that you're going to attend. So I'll tell you about Blake. Blake asked his counselor to send in his final transcripts, and then he and his family promptly went on vacation. I think they went to Greece or somewhere. And they didn't take me for whatever reason. Well, when Blake came back and was about ready to move into his dorm room, he got called in to the administration office, and they said, "You're technically not a student here because we never got a notification that you graduated from high school. We never got your final transcripts." Well, he freaked out and didn't know what to do. He called me. I said, "You need to call your counselor right now and have them send that transcript over immediately." This could have been avoided by following up and checking your student portal, making sure that that college does receive your final transcripts. And then in July, remember your parents. Spend some time with your parents. Start packing. If you're an athlete, you might need to arrive on campus early. Check with your college coach on that. Okay? So remember to spend some time with your parents. They've raised you for the last 18 years. Do something with your parents. Go to dinner, take a walk or swim with them, talk to them. For some of your parents, they won't see you for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and they may not see you again until the winter Christmas break. Then in August and September, we're going to start heading out to colleges, and we're going to plan to follow up with the financial aid department. Some colleges will automatically give more money and more scholarships just for walking into the financial aid department and asking if there are any other scholarships, any leftover money that is available. Sometimes there is. I can't remember what school it was, but it was either in the Midwest or the East, that if you walked in and talked to the financial aid director there, they automatically gave that student an extra $5,000. Okay? So yeah, it's important to go in there. So some colleges will automatically give more money just for asking. And other colleges, what's going to happen is there will be some students that signed up and maybe they even mailed in their deposit, and for whatever reason, they never show up. And that student had some scholarship dollars attached to that student, and some of that money is mandated that it must be spent. And if we walk in at the right opportune time, we could ask for it. You won't get it if you don't ask. And review all of the data. Visit the colleges. Please do not buy a college unless you have visited it. Don't buy sight unseen. Review and compare award letters, and then ultimately make your final decision. So this is how we're going to finalize our college selection. There's too many stories of kids who fell in love with the brochures only to find out that the brochure was not accurate. Everybody is well aware of Photoshop and what Photoshop can do. Some people are extremely talented with Photoshop. And all of the brochures, every photograph that you see has been touched by Photoshop. And every one of those brochures and every one of those pictures is designed to make you want to go to their school. So please visit your school. Another thing that you can do to finalize your college selection is check the crime rates. And we're going to do that by looking at the nces.edu.gov College Navigator website. And all of the websites that I will be mentioning tonight are in your booklet, and they're available on the booklet online. So in the name of college, type in the name of the school, and we're going to pick on ASU. Click on it, and then click on the appropriate campus. So we're clicking on the ASU Tempe campus, and we're going to scroll down a little bit, and we're going to look at campus security. And I don't know if those of you who can see it online or those of you that are in the back of the room can actually see this. At the top it says murder, negligent manslaughter, rape, fondling, incest, all the way down to burglary, motor vehicle theft, and arson. At every college that you are going to go to, there will be some form of theft. if you put your iPad down or your phone and you turn your back on it, it's probably going to disappear. When my brother was in college, he went to school in the DC area, and it's cold there, especially in the wintertime. And he walked into the cafeteria with a nice leather jacket on, and he got his food plate and his drink, and he sat down at the table, he took his jacket off, and about halfway through the meal, he got up to get another drink. And when he came back, his jacket was missing. Okay? So stuff like that's going to happen. So be aware of that. I'm more interested in some of the more heinous crimes. At ASU, and we're about 2 years behind on data. So 2016 is the newest data that they have currently. They had 1 arson. They had 11 motor vehicle thefts. They had 19 rapes. Those are some heinous crimes. I'm okay with you going to ASU. You need to be aware of your surroundings. Whenever you go out in a group, make sure it's a group of people that you know, and go out in a group. When my brother was in that college in DC, they told all of the students, when you leave the campus, and it was a beautiful campus, it had 10-foot brick walls surrounding it. It almost had machine gun turrets on the top. It seemed like that. And the staff tells the students, when you leave the campus, you should highly go in a group. Well, my brother's a little bit ornery, and he left the campus by himself, and he did get jumped. But he can take care of himself. And what he did, here's a funny story, is the guys that jumped out on him and stuff, pulled out a knife and, hey, give me your money and all that. My brother had a skateboard, and he was holding it, and he walked up to the biggest guy, and he smacked the biggest guy in the head with his skateboard. And that was enough to scare everybody and all that. I don't even want that to happen for you guys, so be aware. So go to the College Navigator, type in the name of the college, click on Campus Security, and check out that data. There's also this one, American School Search, which is another great website. And in here, you can, it's american-school-search.com/safety. And in here, you'll type in the name of the college. I typed in ASU again. Click on it. And then we'll click on crime stats. And it gives you a grade level. So D- is what this particular website gave ASU for crime and safety. So the award letter. The award letter will be delivered to your home, or ASU wasn't mailing them out. You were only able to view it online. So log on to your student portal, and you can click on View Award, and you can see what ASU is offering. For the other colleges, you might log on online, or they might mail you one, and you can review that. The award letter arrives after financial aid forms have been submitted and processed. That's the FAFSA CSS profile and any other forms. If the college is asking for your financial data, maybe a tax statement or anything like that, then they may hold up the award letter until they get that information, okay? And those award letters can come out January through June, usually arrive sometime in mid-March to early April. And here's what it would look like. This one's from U of A. Tells you all the scholarships and the grants you're offering and what the dollar amounts are and all of that. And here are the elements of the award letter: scholarships, grants, student loans, work study, and the Parent Plus loan. So let's dissect this. The first one is scholarships and grants. We want that. We want lots and lots of that. Okay? Scholarships and grants are the free money that reduce the cost of the college. Think of it as a really big coupon. Okay? And the next thing that on there is the student loans. And student loans may be one thing that is offered on the award letter. Because it is offered to you, you can choose to accept or decline the student loans. You can also accept or decline any of the scholarships or grants. Please don't do that, okay? I had a student say, well, I'm going to decline this scholarship because I don't want to take money away from anybody else. You're not taking money away from anybody. They're offering that specifically to you, and that other person, they're going to offer specific money to that student. And most of these colleges they're very wealthy. ASU, I'd have to double check, but they're somewhere in the $700 to $800 million in their endowment fund. President Crow is pushing for what he's calling the 2020 initiative so that ASU has $1 billion in their endowment fund. And they're getting close to that, and they'll probably hit it. So we're not taking money away from any other student. Then the student loans, you can accept or decline those. And if you accept a student loan, then you, the student, are the one that's responsible to pay it back. If your parents decide to help pay it back, that is their prerogative, not their obligation. Okay? So if you accept it, then you, the student, are required to pay it back. If you decline, and I've heard all kinds of rumors, this one was really great. If you decline this year, you qualify for it again next year, you will not be offered it. I've heard all kinds of things. If you decline this year and you qualify for it next year, you can accept it next year. That's fine. Student loans, any student loan that you accept, and they'll call it different things. They'll call it the federal student loan, or they'll call it the Stafford loan, or something like that. And those loans are deferred. What that means is you are not required to make any payments on it while you are a student, okay? And you have to be a part-time or better student. If a student's status falls below part-time status, then the loan company will get a notification from the college, and that student will get a letter within 30 days that says, we want your first payment, okay? So student loans are deferred as long as you remain a student. And I would encourage you to be a full-time student so that you can graduate on time, okay? With the student loans, you may be offered 1 or 2 student loans. And those student loans are subsidized and unsubsidized. So both of those loans are deferred. The subsidized and the unsubsidized are deferred. The difference between the two is that during the deferral period, the interest on the subsidized, there is no interest that accumulates on the subsidized loan. So if you are offered a $3,000 subsidized student loan and you accept it at year 4.5, so how the loans work is they're deferred for 4.5 years. So the thought process is you graduate in 4 years, takes 6 months to land a job, and at that point, you'll get a notification that your first payment is due. So if now we're sitting at, you just graduated, and 4 or 5 months later, you finally land your job, you'll get a notification that says, hey, your loan is going to become due. And if it is a subsidized loan, and just for simple numbers, let's say we had $3,000 on that subsidized loan, at that time frame, you will owe a total of $3,000. No interest will be charged on it. Once that loan kicks in, and if you don't pay the whole thing off, interest will start to accumulate on it from that day forward. The unsubsidized loan, interest will accumulate on it from day one. So once that money has been distributed, then interest will start to accumulate on it. Okay. If you are offered a subsidized loan and you have the money to pay it, please take the subsidized loan, because that is free money. If you have $3,000 to pay for college and they're offering you a $3,000 subsidized loan, take the loan, keep that $3,000 in a bank. Even at 1%, you'll be better off in 4 years. Okay? Now, this unsubsidized loan, we may or we may not want to take those. It just depends on the circumstance and everything. To accept anything that the college is offering you, scholarships, grants, loans, etc., you'll log on to your student portal and you'll send in your deposit, and then you will click on I accept this scholarship or I accept this loan. And once you click on the accepting of the loan, it will prompt you to go to, and they call it loan counseling. And it's a specific website run by the federal government. It'll take you about 20 or 30 minutes to go through loan counseling. You will need your FSA ID and password to do that. And basically, once you get done with the loan counseling, it will tell you, this is a loan. You got to pay it back. Okay? Because some people get a little surprised. Well, I accept the Stafford thing. I thought that was free money. Well, nope, that was a loan. Okay? The next element on the award letter is work study. Sometimes the college offers this, sometimes they don't. And what work study is, it is a federally funded program, and the federal government pays a percentage of the wage. So colleges love work study because it's cheap labor for them. And typically how it works is it's a 70-30 split. So just for simple numbers, let's say that work study job that you have is offering you $10 an hour. You will get $10 an hour. Of that $10 an hour, 70% or $7 of that is paid by the federal government, and the college pays $3. So the college is paying $3 for your work. Okay, you're still getting $10. So the college loves it because it's cheap labor for them. The maximum amount of work study that I've seen was about $3,500, about $4,000 for the year. Okay. Now, granted, you're not in college for 12 months. You're in college for about 10 months. So 5 months and 5 months, split it between those two. And if you do the math on it, it's not a lot of hours. It might be 5, maybe 10 hours per week. Okay. I like students to have work study. And the reason why I like students to have work study is what we found is that students who work tend to manage their time more. And students who manage their time more end up having better grades. Okay, so there are a variety of different work study jobs ranging from teaching assistant to work in the library or cafeteria maintenance, faculty assistants, and more. When I was in college, I got a work study job in the cafeteria, cleaning the trays off that come on that conveyor belt. Do you know what college kids do with their food after they're done? Gross. I didn't last very long in that job. My daughter had a work study job, and the professor walked up to her and said, hey, I'm going to be posting a work study job in a week. And I'll put it up on the bulletin board and online in a week. I want you to apply for it today. Because if I post it online, I can't guarantee that you will have that job, and I want you to have that job. So it's important to get to know your professors and make friends with them because you can get some perks like that. So 2 places that you should look for a work study job. The first one, and not necessarily in this order, the first one is in the financial aid department. Because if you're working in the financial aid department, if a scholarship comes across the desk and that is something that you could potentially apply for next year, hey, you could get it. Or if you notice that a student withdrew and that scholarship money is now sitting on the desk, so to speak, you could ask, hey, could I have that money? Okay, so the financial aid department is one place that you can look for a work study job. The second place is in your major. So if you're going to be a biology major then you may want to look in there. If you're going to be a theater major, you might want to look in there for a worksite job. The reason for that is if you get a job in your department, you could put that on your resume. Hey, I'm an engineering major. I got an engineering assistant job, and now I'm applying to your engineering company. So that could help you get into your job. Like loans, you must accept or decline on work-study jobs. You can decline the first semester and then accept the second semester. So some students, they're ready to hit work-study right from the beginning, and others are like, you know what, I want to get my feet wet, explore this first semester first, and then let's see what happens the second semester. For my 3 kids, that's what they did. Is the first semester they didn't get a work-study job because they wanted to explore everything and see what their time looked like. And they realized, I got a whole lot of free time. Because it's not like high school. I don't show up to school at 7:30 and go to 3 o'clock Monday through Friday. I got Tuesday off. I don't have any classes on that day. So with that, and then sometimes you might have classes in the evening. So you might have your whole afternoon completely free. What can you do? Well, you can work study. And with work study, the college knows that you are there to be a student. So they're not going to give you 40 hours of work. You could do more or you could do less. When you are offered a work study job for $3,000, they're guaranteeing you that you'll get $3,000 as long as you put in the hours to reach that, okay? And some of those jobs, you may have a lot of downtime. And what do you do during your downtime? Study. Hence the name work study. Yes?
Are those minimum wage jobs, or do they determine the wage?
They're mostly minimum wage jobs. But it might be a couple bucks more. I wouldn't expect 20 bucks an hour or anything like that. Maybe $12. Not a whole lot.
So at least minimum wage.
Yeah, at least minimum wage. Yeah. And the fifth element on the award letter is the Parent Plus loan. And if you accept the Parent Plus loan, then it is the parent's responsibility to pay it back. As a student, you can choose to help your parents pay it back. That would be your prerogative, not your obligation. So when I can't remember his first name now. It'll come to me in a second. Jake, no, anyway, it doesn't matter. He graduated from ASU, and he graduated in aviation as a commercial pilot. And he had to put in some hours flying before he could actually land a commercial pilot job. And it took about 2 years to do that before he actually landed a good commercial pilot job. And at that point, he was starting to make some really seriously good money. And he turned to his mom and said, Mom, thank you very much for helping me go through college. I'm going to help you pay off those Parent Plus loans. Okay. So that was his prerogative, not his obligation. And the Parent Plus loans, those are due 30 to 60 days after disbursement. So if your student starts college in September, then in November, maybe December, they're going to ask for their first payment. Okay. So the Parent Plus loans are not deferred. You can ask to have them deferred, and interest will accumulate during that deferral period, but that will be on a case-by-case basis, and typically they defer it for 1 year. Okay. So here's my warning on loans. Both the student loan and the Parent Plus loan Those are federally backed loans. And those are the cheapest loans that you can get. If you were to go to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or any other lending institution and apply for an educational loan, it will be expensive. Okay, the interest rate will be expensive. So the cheapest interest rates are going to be through the federal government that are going to be issued through the college. And because these are federally backed loans by the government, it is near impossible to get these loans written off in a bankruptcy court. They must be paid off. Okay? You can Google all kinds of stuff online, excessive student loan debt, and see all kinds of different articles. There was an article that I came across, and it was a student who graduated not only from undergrad, but also from grad school, took out loans for 100% of loans for everything, both undergrad and grad school. And then right after he graduated from grad school, he was in an accident and injured and could not get a loan or couldn't pay his loan, and he just ignored it. Please don't do that. If you are having any challenges, reach out to the loan institution. They will help you. Well, this guy ignored it, and his loan went from $300,000 to $500,000 with all the penalties and fees that accumulated on top of all that. The late charges and penalties are steep. Don't ignore it. If you need help, contact them. They will work with you. So show me the money. After you receive all of your acceptance and award letters, review them. You can add all the numbers and the data on the FAFSASoft program. So when you log on to the FAFSASoft, you can click on college organization. And then for ASU, you can click on award and put in all of the numbers in there. And then once you've put in the numbers for each of those colleges, you can click on review award, and I'll get an email notification that you've done that. And then we can have a conversation and compare all of those different awards. So show me the money. To appeal or not to appeal. Don't call it negotiating. Colleges hate that word. We can appeal with a college, especially for those colleges that are notorious for lowballing, U of A. So some reasons to appeal is maybe you had a job change or a layoff, a decrease in income, excessive medical bills, a divorce, death in the family, or other factors that are not reported on the FAFSA or CSS profile. If there's anything like that that we can use as leverage, we're going to use that information and try and get some more money from the college. Another thing that we can use to appeal is we got a better award from a different college. Okay? So maybe one school gave you $30,000 in scholarships and the other school gave you $15,000 in scholarships, and they're both comparable on their net, on their COA, their cost of attendance, but the net cost at one school is greater than the other. Sometimes we can go to one school and go, hey, this school gave me this. What can you guys do? Okay. I love to tell the story about Danielle. Her original award letter from U of A was $0. You want to come here? It's 28 grand. Dad called me in a panic and said, what do? I don't want to pay $28,000. I asked, what scholarships did she get from other schools? Oh, she got this much money from NAU. I said, great. Take the NAU award letter, go down to U of A and say, they gave me this. What can you guys do? Not only did they beat the scholarship amount, they also gave Danielle an iPad. Danielle was excited about the iPad. Dad was excited about the scholarship dollars. Okay? Or maybe you have an elderly relative that moved in with you, or you're taking care of an elderly relative financially or something like that. So if there's something that we can use to appeal, we're going to try and appeal with the college. So don't talk with every college. We want to talk with maybe your top 2, maybe your top 3. And when we appeal, we want to make sure that we're talking with a key decision maker, not a student on work study, because that student in work study, they're told the answer is no. So when my kids were little and my kids would come up to me, they would say, Dad, I got a question. I would say, the answer is no. What's your question? Can I not have ice cream? So we want to make sure that we're talking with a key decision maker, the financial aid director or somebody like that. When you call up a school and you talk to them on the phone, the very first person that you talk to is always a student. You want to get past that gatekeeper to someone who can actually make a decision. We also want to be polite and courteous. Being angry will not help. Ideally, if we can talk to them face to face, that would be the best. Now, it might be a little bit hard to fly out to New York and see them, but if you know that you're going out there for a future student event or something like that, then you might want to schedule some time to talk with the financial aid department. If you can't meet them in person, the next best thing is to send them a FedEx letter outlining everything. And if you have some additional proof, maybe you want to send them a copy of a different award letter or something like that. Before you send out any appeal letters or anything like that, please talk with me. I'll review it, say, yeah, this is good or anything. I do have an appeal template. If any of you want that, let me know. Send me an email. I'll be happy to send you that appeal template. So not everyone should appeal. If you got a really great scholarship at that college, probably shouldn't appeal there. But for some of us, we do want to appeal. Appeal after we've reviewed all of the award letters. And then we want to outline why we're appealing. And if there is some financial change that's not reported on the FAFSA, we want to let them know that. We did write an appeal letter to Chapman. And basically the letter said, my kid really wants to go to your school, but the gap is too much because of this or that circumstance. And is there anything else that can be done? And we asked for a specific dollar amount. We asked, could you give us $5,000 more? If you put on the appeal letter, could I have some more scholarship or grant? And we don't put in a dollar amount, well, sure, here's $5. Well, thanks, but that's not going to really help. But if we ask for a specific amount, could I have $5,000? And we did that at Chapman, and we got it. Okay. Now they're not going to say, "Oh, we gave you, $30,000, $20,000 already. We're going to reduce it because you're being greedy." They're not going to do that. They've already allocated that money for you, and we want to see if we can squeeze a couple more dollars out. One thing that can hold up an award letter is if the college asks for verification or review. And that is that they're going to ask to see a copy of your taxes. For most everybody, when we filled out the financial aid forms, the FAFSA, we used the IRS data retrieval tool. It went to the IRS, it grabbed that information and automatically put it onto the FAFSA with a timestamp on there that said, this is official data from the IRS. For some of you, I was not able to do that because you had identity theft, or maybe you have LifeLock or something like that, so I wasn't able to do that. If the college reaches out to you and says, and you log on to your student portal and it says that you have to submit a copy of your taxes, then we want to submit that to them, okay? You'll get an email or letter, or it might be on the student portal that says you have been selected for review, okay? And that happened to you guys? Yeah. What that simply means is audit. They want to verify that the data that we put on the FAFSA and any other financial aid forms matches what's on the taxes. And about 25, the IRS mandated that 25% of all the financial aid forms must be verified. For my oldest daughter, luck of the draw, she got selected for verification all 4 years. For my middle daughter, she never got selected at all. I don't know why. For my son, he only got selected for the last 2 years. So each college is going to be different. If they do not ask you for any tax documents or anything like that, then do not give it to them. Okay?
At what time of the year does that happen? They would come back and ask for verification or review?
They're going to start asking for verification now. So January, February. So I told you that we use the IRS data retrieval tool. For most of you, we did that. Send the colleges only what they are requesting. And if they do, they're going to only request federal taxes. Don't send them the Arizona taxes, or for those of you in Texas or California or Idaho that are watching this online, don't send them your state taxes. Only send them federal taxes if that's what they are requesting. And wait for it. Beware of senioritis. It's important. That's why I'm saying it. Okay. Visit some colleges. You may be invited to come out and visit the college sometime in the spring. If you have this option and this opportunity, please go. And they'll call it different things. They'll call it a future student event, or they'll call it senior high school day or spirit day or something like that. And it may be for admitted students, or it may be for prospective students. And if that is one of your top colleges, then I would highly encourage you to go to that event. And it will usually be over a weekend, and you'll sleep in the dorm, eat in the cafeteria, do some activities, maybe sit in a class or two or something like that. If that is an option, please do that. Yes?
What if it's at a college that's far from here?
If it is far from here,
Yeah.
meaning like it's in New York or Massachusetts or something like that, absolutely go. Absolutely. And preferably if we can go there sometime in February, that would be the best, or the worst, because the weather is the worst there. And we want to visit colleges ideally when the weather is the worst. Because we here in Arizona, it's, I mean, we're complaining because it's 50 degrees out.
Now, what if you've already visited out?
If you've already visited, then there's no reason to go visit again. But if they do offer a future student event and that is your top school, then you may want to consider it. And then May 1st, send in your deposits. Deposits range anywhere from $250 to about $1,000. And you're going to submit your deposit to one college. Colleges kind of get a little bit weird if they find out that a student has sent in deposits to multiple colleges. Most of the time, they can't find that out. There are certain circumstances where we might need to do that. For example, a couple of years ago, Justin was admitted to a handful of schools, and it was April 30th. Dad calls me on the phone and said, he said, my son never got a acceptance letter or an award letter from New Mexico State. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. Check the student portal, give them a call, find out what's going on. What ended up happening was sometime in January or February, their entire computer system crashed and they lost all that data, and it was taking them months to rebuild. So Dad says, what should I do? I said, what's his number one and number two school? Number one is New Mexico State. Number two is University of Arizona. Well, mail in your University of Arizona deposit. And what could happen is when New Mexico admits you and you decide to go there, you could lose your Arizona deposit. Okay. And that's what ended up happening. He got a letter back in June. Hey, sorry, we had a big mix-up. Our system crashed, but you're admitted, and here's your scholarship package. And it was a great scholarship package. Let's talk about what to bring to colleges. Clothes hangers, Ethernet cable, extension cords, can openers, silverware, some business attire. There may be a formal banquet or an interview, and you want to dress appropriately for that. Vitamins and air freshener. The reason why you want air freshener is you don't know what your roommate's going to be doing. Okay. Sometimes people will tell you to bring a roll of quarters. Don't do that. We want to check with the college first because we want to find out if the laundry facilities use quarters or if they have some type of debit card or some type of card payment system. Okay. If you are entrepreneurial, bring some extra hangers, clothes hangers. The reason is because there's going to be some kid on your dorm floor that totally forgets about it. And if you bought them for like $3, you might be able to sell them for $5. Okay. And remember your vitamins. You will get stressed, and the extra boost of vitamins can keep you healthy. It happens every year. Almost the entire freshman class gets sick because you are in a brand new environment with brand new germs and bugs running around and all that stuff. You're going to be exposed to all those things. You may get sick. So having some extra vitamins and taking those extra vitamins can help you get through that sickness quicker, or maybe even alleviate it altogether. And for some of you, you might be going to a very different climate than where we are here in Arizona. It is sunny 395 days out of the year, okay? Maybe even 600 days out of the year here. When my daughter went to college, she was up in Seattle. And we were talking with her on the phone in early November. And as we were talking with her, we noticed that her disposition was down. Caitlin, what's going on? I don't know. I don't know. And we figured it out. She was lacking vitamin D because it's overcast and rainy all the time in Seattle. So we mailed her a bottle of vitamin D and she perked right up. Okay. So bring one or two nice outfits because you never know. Some other great things to bring is the George Foreman grill. My disclaimer, I do not own stock in George Foreman or any of that, but I love it. It is a great device. It is one of the best things to use to reheat French fries, and they come out nice and crispy again and all that. So you can use them to reheat French fries. You can cook just about anything on there, hamburgers, grilled cheese, lots of different things. The only thing that you can't cook on there would be soup or an egg. But you can heat up Hot Pockets, egg rolls, cook a steak and veggies on there, etc. You can also reheat pizza on it. When you do that, take 2 slices and put them down like this so that they're facing each other, so the crust is on each side, so that when you put the George Foreman, the cheese doesn't melt to there. You can also, you might need to take a water pitcher, because I don't know how the water will be, if it will be nice and filtered or not. And then bring some games. Some board games, some card games, or something like that. A great game is Uno. I'll tell you a quick little story about Paul, and when we were in college, we played Uno, and Paul was a notorious cheater. And the rules that we play with, you guys all know Uno, right? Okay. The rules that we play is if you lay down a draw 2, the next person draws 2, but if the next person has a draw 2, they can lay it on top of that, then the next person draws 4, okay? So it kind of builds that way. So we stacked the deck, and there were 6 of us playing, and 4 of us all in a row had a draw 4. And the 5th person was Paul. So we laid that down, and he had to draw 16, and he was upset. Oh, it was great. We totally got him back for all the times that he was cheating and stuff. So don't bring everything you own. You want to pack for the climate, bring some personal toiletries. Your roommate will appreciate that. Bedding and blankets. Before you go out and you buy any bedding or blankets, you want to find out what kind of bed it is, if it's an extra long twin or a regular size twin. Keep an eye out. Usually sometime in July is when all the college bedding goes on sale and you get a good deal for it and stuff. And pack for the climate. When my daughter was at Seattle, we bought a whole bunch of clothes for her here in Arizona, and she she was calling us on the phone. I am just freezing. I'm wearing like 6 layers and I am still freezing. So instead of buying for the climate where you live, buy for the climate there. So we mailed her some money and said, go shop up there. And one of her friends who lived up in that area said, okay, here's how you wear clothes for Seattle. This is, you need wool socks and you need this thing and that thing and all that. And she did that, and that really helped out and stuff. So keep an eye out for college sales. Again, those are usually in June or July. Don't bring these things: cinder blocks, pets, your entire DVD collections. Does anybody have DVDs anymore? Is it all online now for the most part? Space heaters. So a very popular accessory in college is cinder blocks. Use a couple cinder blocks and a couple 2x4s. You got a nice shelf. Don't do that. Colleges frown on cinder blocks because at the end of the semester or the end of the year, all those blocks get tossed into the dumpster. And the college pays per pound. So if there's an extra 1,000 or 2,000 pounds in there, that college is going to find out who it was, and you will get a bill. Pets, for the most part, no pets are allowed. Some colleges will allow pets. That is very rare, dogs and cats and things like that. Some colleges even have a horse stable. Again, that is very rare. Most colleges will allow fish. So that if you got your beloved fish and you want to take your fish, you could do that. I told you a story about Paul. Paul was my neighbor. We lived in a quad, so there were 4 bedrooms, a hallway, and at the end was the restroom. And Paul and Ed lived diagonally from me. And Paul had a fish tank. And every Friday night was fish feeding frenzy. And he had an Oscar and a couple green terrors. So y'all know about piranhas, right? Those are really vicious fish. Well, the green terror is even more vicious than the piranha. And he would go down and get, I know this is kind of gory, go get a handful of goldfish and we'd feed them. And the guys would just, it was good college times, good memories. Space heaters, anything that could cause fire, those things, or fire hazard, those are not allowed. Space heaters, open face, hot plates, candles. There's more information in the booklet about what is and what is not allowed at colleges. If you have questions on any of that stuff, you need to reach out to the college and ask. Some colleges kind of frown on the George Foreman grill, some don't. It just depends on the college. You want to find out if that is something that they accept or not. Dormroommovers.com. This is a great company. They're actually right here in town. They're in Tempe. And you can go to their website and tell them when you're going to be moving in and where you're going to be moving. I'm going to be going to Seattle University, and they will mail you boxes. You put all your stuff in that box. They'll come by and pick it up, and they will deliver it to your dorm room. Awesome. Okay? So if you need somebody to do that, you can do that. I want you to keep dormroommovers.com in the back of your mind for those of you that are going to go study abroad. Here's why. You can call them up, go to their website, and they will come out and they will send you boxes. You can put all your stuff in the boxes. They will come and pick it up, and they will hold it while you are abroad. And then when you return, they will deliver it back to your dorm room. So it's pretty awesome that they have that. Stop. Before you continue, don't do these things. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get arrested. Don't drink alcohol underage or drive under the influence. Don't post anything on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram that could come back and haunt you. And avoid Mexico during spring breaks. Okay? Here's a story of Betty. That's not her real name. I changed it to protect the guilty. She lost her academic scholarship and her athletic scholarship because she was on the beach too much. She was at a school in San Diego, had a really nice academic and a really nice athletic scholarship package. And, beach, 10-minute walk, 5-minute Uber, I'll go. And she went to the beach too much, started skipping class, started skipping practice. At the end of that year, the coach kicked her off the team because she didn't show up to practice. She lost her athletic scholarship. And the college looked at her and said, your grades are too terrible. You cannot come back next year. So she lost her freshman seat as well. Okay. Getting arrested is the fastest way to lose your scholarship. A felony charge will make you ineligible for federal aid. If you're going to go to a college that's anywhere near the southern border, don't go to Mexico for spring break. So if you're going to school in Southern California, Southern Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas, any of those areas that would be easy to get to Mexico, do not go to spring break. Yeah, do not go to Mexico for spring break. The reason is because the locals that live there, they do not take kindly to intoxicated college students. When my wife, my then girlfriend, her brother, so we were going to school in LA at Biola, and Jennifer's brother was going to school at University of Arizona. And so she said, hey, I got spring break coming up and you got spring break coming up. I'll drive out there and we'll hang out and stuff. So she went out and visited her brother, and several of John's dorm mates said, hey, we're going to go down to Mexico for spring break. You want to go with us? And he's like, I can't. My sister's coming. And it was a good thing they didn't go, because those dorm friends that went down there, they went to a bar and the locals got a little upset about them and beat them all up. And it was pretty bad. So avoid Mexico during spring break. And wait for it, beware of senioritis. So let's start college off on the right foot. We're all in the same boat. Don't worry, there are hundreds and even thousands of students in the same boat as you, all new freshmen. Don't stress out too much. There's a whole ton of new freshmen at your college who don't know what to do, where to go, or what to expect. After you've been there for about a month or two, it'll be old hat and you'll know what to do and all that stuff. So don't freak out about it too much the first week or two. So what do? Plug into the system. Most colleges are going to require you to live on campus your freshman year and sometimes even your sophomore year. It's not because they want your money. Well, yes, they want your money, but it's because they want you to plug into the college system. What they found is that students who live on campus the freshman year will go to an event, and they want you to go to these events. It might be a football game or a basketball game, ice cream social, bingo night, or something like that. They want you to go to these events, meet other students, and make friends. Because if you have a friend or two in college, you're going to feel comfortable there, and you're going to stay, matriculate, and graduate. And that's what they want, is they want you to graduate. So the first week that you are there, make an effort to meet 2 or 3 new people every day. Because there's going to be some other kid in there that is nervous and is a brand new freshman, and maybe he's thousands of miles from home, just like you might be. And you can ask him some questions. Hey, my name's JD. I'm from Arizona. Where are you from? I'm studying graphic design. What are you studying? Which dorm do you live in? Oh, you're from Virginia? Does it snow there? Because it never snows in our neighborhood. And yes, it does get to 120 degrees in the summertime. So meet people in your classroom, introduce yourself, tell them about your major, your career plans, ask where they went to high school, where they live, and what they like to do when they're not studying, and that. You can also go to the Student Union building and meet people. That was one of our favorite hangouts, was the Student Union building. They had a couple foosball tables in there, a couple ping pong tables, a giant TV, and every Friday night at 9 p.m., The whole place was packed, and we all watched the newest episode of Miami Vice. Kids online are going, "What's that?" It's a TV show. Okay. So go to the student building, meet people and all that. Kids drop out of college for various reasons. One reason is they're lonely and don't have any friends. This can be avoided by you stepping out of your comfort zone and saying hello. So I want to tell you a story about Nick. When Nick went to college his freshman year, it was Creighton University in Nebraska. Nebraska is very different than Arizona. And when Nick came home for the winter break, Nick's mom called me on the phone and said, "Could you call and speak with Nick?" "Sure, what's going on?" "He doesn't know if he made the right decision." And I want to tell everyone, when you go to college, that first few weeks, that maybe even that first semester, you're going to question, did I make the right choice of this school or not? Okay, that's normal. So I talked to Nick on the phone, and my first question was, "How are your grades?" "My grades are fine." And after asking him a few questions, I figured out what the problem was. He wasn't doing anything. He was going from his dorm room to the cafeteria, to a classroom, and then back to his dorm room. That little triangle right there. I said, "Nick, here's what I would like you to do the next spring semester. I would like you to continue at that same school, and I would like you to get involved. Join a club, do an activity, start a club, do something, and keep your grades up." So he agreed to do that. And I had a conversation with Nick at the end of that semester in June. "Hey, Nick, how's it going? What's going on? How are your grades?" "Oh, my grades are awesome." "How's school?" "Love it. Awesome. Favorite school, best school ever." Okay? So get involved. Join a club. Do some activities and stuff. You can also start off college right by checking out the website ratemyprofessors.com. And this is a really great website. I don't think I have it open. I don't have it open. Anyway, you can go in there and you can click on your college, ASU, and you can click on your professor, Professor Smith, and you can see what his or her rankings is. Okay. When my daughter was going to college, she needed to take a calculus class, and there were two professors that were teaching calculus at that school, and one had a really low rating, and that class was open, lots of seats open, and the other professor, who was a really great professor, there was only one seat open. Kind of figured out why. She ended up taking that great professor, learned a lot, really enjoyed that class. So you can check that out. Now, be a little bit weary and cautious about Rate My Professor. If you only see one negative review in there, then yeah, you may want to forget that one, because maybe some kid got a low grade in there because he was spending way too much time on PlayStation and didn't show up to class or something like that. Now he's writing a negative review on that professor. So be a little bit weary and cautious as you're reviewing all those reviews. We want to start off college right by going to the first orientation that's available. So after you accept, you'll get a notification from the college to sign up for orientation. And I think it was NAU last year had 3 or 4 different orientation dates to choose from. And one of them was like the first week of June, right after school gets out. And then one of them was late July. Okay, and then there were a couple in between and all that stuff. Before you plan your summer vacations and go to Greece and go to Italy and all that stuff, you want to check to find out when the orientation is and work your schedule around that and go to the first orientation. The reason why you want to go to the first orientation is because you will sign up for classes at orientation. And if you go to the last orientation, that class that you wanted to get into may be full. So this is one way to get into some of those classes that do fill up. And always sign up for classes at your first earliest convenience so that you can get into those classes, graduate on time, and get out in 4 years. So if it's time for you to sign up for classes and you know that so for your spring semester of your freshman year, and they say, hey, it's time for you to sign up for classes, and it's going to be Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning, get up. Log online or go meet your counselor, sign up for your classes, and then go back to your dorm room and take a nap. Okay? Yes?
ASU is already sending me emails encouraging me to sign up for the freshman orientation.
Yes.
Is that necessary at this time?
It's not necessary right now to sign up for orientation right now. Some colleges may try and push students hastily into signing up for orientation or sending in your deposit and stuff like that. We still have a couple months window to sign up for all that stuff. Write this one down, bigwords.com. So we want to start off College Right by checking bigwords.com. So after you sign up for your classes, your professor will post which textbooks are required for that class. And you will be able to view your textbooks and all the textbook requirements on your student portal. Okay? So log on to your student portal, check to see what books are required, and with that, it should give you what's called an ISBN number. And you can take that number and put it into Big Words and click on the search button, and Big Words will search the internet and say, at Amazon, this book is available for $50. At buy.com, it's available for $25. At this website over here, you can get it for $1.99. Okay? So it will search and give you a list of all the locations and give you all the different costs and stuff. When my daughter used Big Words for her second semester of her sophomore year, her book cost for that semester was $35. Had she ordered it through the website, through her college, it would have been $300. Okay? Many colleges are moving towards digital mediums, so you might be able to download the book. iPads and Kindles and other electronic devices might be necessary for college. You want to check to see if the college requires that. The earlier you check for books, the cheaper it's going to be. Because if you have to overnight a book, because class starts tomorrow or class started yesterday and I need the book now, it could be expensive to overnight that book. What I encourage students to do is use Big Words. There's a couple other websites that are similar to this one. And if you have the option to rent the book, then rent it. That's going to be your cheapest money right there. If you're taking a history class and you know that after that semester you will never open that history book ever again, then rent it. And that's exactly what my daughter did, is she rented all of her books. Because she was a mechanical engineering major, she purchased her mechanical engineering books because she said, I'm going to keep these because I might need them for reference later on in life. So for your major, you might want to purchase those. For all the other classes and electives, you may want to rent those. And when you have the option, you can choose to either purchase a new one or a used one. The most expensive is going to be new. The second least expensive is going to be used, and the least expensive is going to be rented. Start off college right by going into college and into your class with the attitude of, I want to learn. Having the right mindset will position you for success. Tell yourself, I want to learn. And ask yourself, what will I learn today? Maybe you'll learn something from your class. Maybe you'll learn something in the cafeteria. Maybe you'll learn something as you're talking to a student in a study group. Or maybe you'll just learn something by walking across the campus talking with somebody. I saw a PBS special a while ago, and they were interviewing centurions, people that were 100 years old or older. And they wanted to find out what the common denominator was in all of this. Was it they were active and working out and running or walking, or was it because of their diet? Were they eating fish and rice? What was it? And the common denominator was those people kept learning. There was an individual that at age 75 learned how to play an instrument, and then at age 85 started teaching students how to play that instrument. There was another one who was a foreign dignitary, and he wanted to address that foreign country in their native language, so he learned that language at age 80. So keep your brain active can help with longevity. So be intentional with what you want to learn. Start off college right by planning on working, even if your only job is being a student. No one is there to make sure that you go to class, study, etc. You must self-motivate yourself to do it. Think of the ends in mind. The goal is to get that diploma. Many scholarships are lost because a student's GPA drops below that renewal minimum. That can be avoided by staying on top of your grades, checking your status, checking your grades and all that. And if you need help, go and speak with the professors. So be intentional about your grades. We also want to start college off right by looking for a study group that you can join. College learning is more than just in the college classroom. It could be outside discussions, it could be in labs, it could be talking with the professors. So, start off college right by reading ahead and taking notes. Tests may be assigned on the readings which may have never been discussed in the lecture. So some professors will talk and talk and talk, and then they'll say, the homework for this week is to read chapters 10 through 15. And we're going to have a quiz next week. And that quiz may be on the textbook and nothing that that professor talked about. And if a student, and this has happened before, I was talking with a professor, and he says, I tell these students to go read the lecture, go read the notes from the textbook, because that's what the test is going to be on. And they come in and they complain that I didn't talk about any of that stuff. Well, I told them to go read it. So the professors will treat you as an adult, because you will be adults. Start off college right by creating relationships with professors and teachers' assistants. So talk with the TAs and the professors, see him or her during office hours, and cultivate a relationship. It could help you in the future with internships, jobs, careers, and other opportunities. When my daughter was in college, she developed a good rapport and a good relationship with one of her mechanical engineering professors, who said to her, "Hey, Caitlin, there's an internship opportunity that's coming up. I think you should apply for it, and I'll give you a recommendation." She did, and she got it. So develop those relationships with those key people. When I was in college, one of my favorite professors was Professor Craig. And every Thursday night, he had an open invitation for any student that wanted to come to his office. And there was 5 of us that would regularly go to his office on Thursday night. And we would go in there and we would just talk with them. Maybe we would talk about the assignment. Maybe we'll just talk politics, or maybe we'll talk philosophy, or maybe we watch some dumb, weird movie and have popcorn and stuff. And we did that often. And there were 5 of us that would regularly attend those Thursday night sessions. Guess which 5 students had the highest grade in the class? We did. Okay? So remember to ask other students what to expect. In the booklet, Chapter 9, Get to Know Your College Professor. Chapter 11, How to Approach Your College Professor. Chapter 12, Make a Good Impression on Your College Professors. Please read and review those chapters. Start college right by staying balanced. So de-stress when needed. So you want to schedule some downtime, some playtime. You also want to schedule some study time, and you'll want to schedule your class time. You also want to schedule some exercise time. So prepare mentally. Take the time to map out your semester. Write down all of your classes, all the times, the due dates for major assignments, and all that stuff. Stay balanced and include proper time management. We'll detail that in a few slides. So yes, do schedule some downtime, but don't schedule the entire semester as your downtime. Okay? Remember to go to class and all that. So on the first day of college, on the first day, here's what you want to expect. Show up to class on the first day. If you're, and you want to do that for each of your classes. You want to show up to your first class on the first day. The reason is because if a student does not show up on the first day, the professor is going to take roll that first day. And if that student does not show up, they may cross that student off of the roster. So this is one way to get in on a class that might be full, is show up on the first day. And get there 10, maybe 15 minutes early. Introduce yourself to the professor. Hey, my name's JD. I was unable to register for the class because it was full. If someone doesn't show up, can you put my name instead of theirs? So that could get you into that class. So at large colleges, there will be someone who doesn't show up. So on that note, always show up and attend the first day of class. On the first day, some professors will dive right in and start lecturing. Come prepared with a notepad and a digital recorder. Other professors might ask students to get to know each other and develop some kind of team building, or possibly introduce yourself to classes. It may be different for each professor and what they're going to do on their first day. In whatever situation, be prepared to take notes and learn on the very first day. Also on the first day, they will hand out a class outline and a syllabus. That syllabus will outline everything that is required for that semester. And it will say on there, on November 3rd is when the term paper is due. So on November 3rd, when you show up to class and the professor says, hand in your term paper, and that student walks up and says, I didn't know, he's going to go, did you see the syllabus? So I didn't know doesn't fly in college. The syllabus will outline important facts about the class, things to study, chapters to read, and have important dates for term papers, midterms, finals, and all of that stuff. You might be released early on the first day. You might go the whole time. Do be prepared to stay the entire class. And introduce yourself to the professor. Take the time out to introduce yourself to the professors. I know it can be scary, but you're an adult now and you will be treated as an adult in college. And as you introduce yourself and start building rapport and a relationship with that professor, that will help your grades, and it can also help with other things like internships and other job opportunities. It could even help with scholarships. Hey, JD, you've been in my class, and there's a scholarship that's coming up. I think you should apply for it. Okay. So on the first day of class, be prepared, attend class. Be prepared to map out where the class is and how long it's going to take to get there. Some colleges are really spread out. Others have all their science classes in one building, in one area, and math. So you might have a science class, and then an hour later, you might have a math class that's on the other side of the campus. So you want to map all that stuff out beforehand and make sure you know how much time it's going to take to walk from one place to another. Time management, it's your time, and your time is your time. When you're in college, mom and dad won't be there to wake you up and make sure you go to class. They won't be there to make sure you turn your homework in. They won't be there for any of that stuff. So be self-responsible. Get a calendar. It doesn't matter what type of calendar you get, whether it's a paper version or an electronic one, just get one. Set up reminders, or maybe get a calendar whiteboard where you can write stuff down on there so that you can look at it and go, oh, I know that this term paper is coming up and I'm 3 weeks out. I should be done with this outline. And then next week I can start working on some other stuff. Because granted, every year there is a handful of students that cram the night before writing out their term paper. That's a lot of stress. So you can avoid that by working on this stuff early on. And you can do that by keeping a calendar. And write it down. Write it all down in one spot. Don't put it all on yellow sticky notes and have those sticky notes all over your dorm room. Put it all in one spot. Schedule study time, schedule sleep time, and schedule party time. And also remember to schedule call your parents time. Allow for the unexpected. Maybe it's your roommate's birthday and you just found out. Leave some room on the calendar to move things around as needed, but don't procrastinate. You got to put on your big boy pants and your big girl pants and tell your friends, no, I have to study. Okay, it's okay for you to say no, and plan ahead and work backwards. So if you know that term paper is going to be due in 4 weeks, at 4 weeks out, you can be done with this much, and then 3 weeks out, you can be done with this much, etc., etc. So you can pace yourself and get everything done on time with as little stress as possible. Plan ahead. Is there a big research paper that's due the last week of the semester? Work backwards on the calendar and put in a start date. Give yourself some ample time to do that. Look for places to study, some nooks and crannies in the library or study rooms, coffee shops, anything like that. One of our favorite places to study was the local Denny's, and it was about a 5-minute walk or like a 2-minute drive to get to that Denny's. And we would go there at 11, 12 o'clock at night and pull out our books and start studying all that stuff. When you go to that establishment, please don't be like Paul and be cheap. He would order a coffee and maybe a piece of pie, and he wouldn't leave a tip at all. So please leave a tip. If it's sunny out, maybe go outside, study outside, get your vitamin D. Look for an empty classroom or a computer lab, or maybe in the dining halls during off hours. Those might be some great places to study. Schedule in some reward time. So after midterms and finals, that whole thing is a nightmare, but by Friday at 2:30 or so, it's all over. So schedule some fun time, some downtime. Go to dinner with friends or hang out. You can relax, not knowing that you're not supposed to or need to do anything else. So after my daughter finished her finals were done on Thursday, and she flew home on Saturday. And I asked her, well, how come you didn't come home early? Because Daddy missed you. Well, on Friday, we all went out to the beach and hung out there and had a good time. Okay. Time management is being self-responsible. Be self-responsible. Colleges will expect you to be an adult and will treat you as an adult. Some professors don't care if you show up to class or not. They're going to get paid whether those students show up or not, whether that student has an A or an F. That professor is already going to get paid. So have an attitude of, I want to learn. What will I learn today? So graduate on time. So this is why you need to graduate on time. There's the cost and the unrealized cost. So let's do some math. At ASU, the cost of attendance for 1 year is about $28,000. So if you multiply that times 4 years, that's $112,000. If a student takes an extra year, that's $140,000. And if a student takes 6 years, that's $168,000 to go to ASU. So let's do the math. So 6 years, $168,000 versus a 4-year, $112,000. That's a $56,000 difference. But is that all? No, that's not all. What about the unrealized cost? The unrealized cost is this, that the unrealized cost includes 2 years of lost wages. So I looked up what the average salary was for 2017 for college graduates, and it was $50,556. So multiply that times 2, that's $100,000 plus the extra 50. So you didn't earn that. Plus you have to pay 2 extra years. That's $157,000. Okay, for 2 extra years. So please take a full class load and graduate in 4 years. What can you do with $150,000? You could buy a 2005 Ferrari F430 and pay the insurance on it. Okay? For $150,000, you could get this house here in Maricopa County. It's a 3-bedroom, 1991, 2-bath home in Phoenix for $150,000. Okay? So that's the unrealized cost. So to graduate in 4 years, we want to stick with your major. It's okay to change your mind and change your major in college. It just becomes expensive to do that in college. So while you are still in high school right now, do some more research on whatever occupation it is that you're considering. Do some more research on the major that you're going to plan on studying. If you have any questions, please give me a call. I'll be happy to schedule a time to talk with you about your career plans, about your major, and all of that stuff. You can also check out the information on the bls.gov/OOH website. That's the Occupational Outlook Handbook. That's an incredible website. There's a ton of great information on there. It tells you what the growth is for that industry, tells you what the average pay is. There's some really great information there. So to graduate in 4 years, sign up for class at your earliest convenience. Some classes fill up fast because it's only offered once a year, or the professor's a really great teacher. My daughter wanted to take, and it was the class was called The History of the Dead Sea Scrolls. She's interested in that type of history and all that. And it was a very popular class at that college. And as soon as that window opened up to sign up for that class, and there's only 35 spots, it got full. And that class was not offered the next year, so she had to wait 2 full years for that cycle to come back around for her to sign up for that class. So students need to get in to see faculty and counselors early, and if needed, visit the dean or appeal the policies which prevent them from taking classes which they need to graduate on time. So if you need to get into a 200 class and you can't, and you showed up early and you still can't get in there, you may want to bump it up and talk with your counselor, or you may want to bump it up even further, go talk to the dean and see if there's something that you can do to get into those classes. Because sometimes you have to take the 200 class before you can take the 300 class. And go to class on the first day. There's an article in your booklet, Chapter 8, that outlines how to get into a full class in more detail. So please review Chapter 8. So to graduate in 4 years, go to class on the first day. Remember what I said about losing your seat? You want to make sure that you go to class on the first day so you don't lose your seat. Go to class and to graduate in 4 years, map out your 4-year graduation plan. So meet with your counselor and map out your 4-year graduation plan. Know which classes you're going to take next semester. Know which classes you need to take your sophomore year, which classes you need to take your junior and your senior year. And then map all those things out. And keep that. In my junior year, they changed the curriculum for the major that I was studying. And they said, you need to take these classes. And thank God I saved that curriculum. And I went back to them and said, this is the original curriculum that I signed up for. This class is no longer available. and I have to take this class that you're telling me to take before I can take this class, which is one that I would need to get here to replace this one. And they agreed to the original curriculum. So make sure you keep that. So those counselors are there to help you. Please utilize their service and their time. Meet with a counselor at least twice a semester, once at the beginning and once at the end of the semester. Mapping out what you need to do for that semester, and then at the end of the semester, did you accomplish all those classes you need to take? And then you want to map it out for the next semester. And then stay on track. And to graduate in 4 years, take summer school if needed. So my son ended up taking 2 summer school classes because he was deficient in those so that he could graduate on time. So in some situations, you could take summer school classes at a community college that might fit those requirements. If you need to do that, you want to verify that the class that you're taking at the community college, if that 4-year college will accept it for a like credit. Meaning if you take English at the community college, English 101 at the community college, will the 4-year college accept English 101 or their freshman English as, and does that make sense? Okay. This is why it's important to talk with your college counselor on a regular basis so you can map out classes needed to take and all that. And to graduate in 4 years, take a full class load. Don't skimp on class time. Some classes start early, maybe early in the morning, and you might be tempted to sleep in. No one is there looking over your shoulder to make sure you go to class. So it is your responsibility to go to class. What I learned in my freshman year is to not take a 7 a.m. philosophy class. My professor was awesome. How I would describe him is he was melodiously eloquent. And I sat about halfway in the back, and it was a giant classroom. And about halfway through the class, his melodiousness knocked me out. So do take a full class load. My middle daughter, she took 18 units every semester. Originally, when she was talking with her counselor said, yeah, to be a full-time student, you need 12 units. Well, taking 12 units a semester, you're not going to graduate in 4 years. So I said, you need to talk to the counselor and add a couple more classes. And she did add a couple more classes, and it was about 18 units. And about October of her freshman year, she called me on the phone and said, Dad, thank you very much for telling me to sign up for these extra classes, because I got a lot of free time with 18 credits, and I would have been really bored with 12. Okay? And she took those every semester and was really diligent about that, and ended up graduating a full semester early. Okay? My oldest daughter, mechanical engineering student, she took 16 to 18 units every semester. Some of her friends who were also mechanical engineering students didn't take that, and they took 5 years to graduate. She graduated in 4 years as a mechanical engineering student. Yes, you can do that. She was also nuts. In her sophomore year, she took 5 math classes. I'm like, why are you doing that? She's like, well, they're required, and I want to knock them all out so I can take all the fun classes in my junior year and not have to wait till my senior year to do all these fun classes and stuff. And she did that. And her sophomore year was really tough, but she knocked it out and maintained her minimum GPA to renew her scholarship and all that stuff. To graduate in 4 years, be aware of the MRS degree. That's the Mrs. degree, okay? Some students go to college specifically to meet their future spouse. It's called the Mrs. degree or the MRS degree. That's fine. I want you to go to college. I want you to meet your future spouse. I want you to fall in love. I want you to get married, all that stuff. Yes, but finish your degree first. Too many kids drop out of college because of lust, marriage, love, whatever you want to call it. So just finish your degree first. So there's lots of horror stories about this. Kid goes to college for 2 or 3 years, takes out a whole bunch of student loan debt, meets his future spouse, they fall in love, they get married, and now they're living in some really tiny apartment, and they decide, we're going to move on with our life, and they drop out of college. Well, as soon as they drop out of college, 30 days later, they're going to get a letter. And that letter says, hey, you took out some student loans. We want you to start paying us back. And he got a job at Starbucks making $7 an hour. And she got a job at Starbucks too, because it's so cute, and making $7 an hour. And 90% of their income is going towards their apartment. They can't afford their student loans. That story has played out so many times. So yes, I want you to fall in love, get married, all that stuff, but please finish your degree, because when you finish your degree, you can go get a way better paying job than an entry-level minimum wage pay. And to graduate in 4 years, have a graduation date and goal. So for all my seniors, 2019s, I want you to write this down. And I want you to write this. I will graduate, so write it down online. I will graduate in May or June of 2023 or earlier. That's 4 years from now, okay? So your graduation goal and date is May or June 2023. And write it down. There's something weird and magical that happens when you write it down. And here's the psychology behind that. That some of you are auditory, some of you are auditory learners, some of you are visual learners, some of you are kinesthetic learners. So when you write it down, there's your kinetic, okay? And when you see it as you're writing it down, that's your visual learners. And when you read it out loud, so I want you to read it out loud, I will graduate in May or June of 2023, that's for your auditory learners. And that gets cemented in your brain, and then map out your game plan and graduate in 4 years. Even if the college has a low 4-year graduation rate, you don't have to be in that average pool. You can map it out and graduate in 4 years, and then stick to your plan. And go to class on the first day. Remember what I said? Classes fill up, and you don't want to give up your seat to anyone else. So let's talk about how to get into your career quick. Focus on the graduation, and that is the goal. So May or June 2023. Map it out. Students fail to graduate on time because they failed to plan. Students who do not create a graduation goal, plan, and map it out will take longer to graduate, or worse, not graduate at all. Getting into your career quick is internships. Look for an internship position early. Now is not too early. You can look for an internship now while you are still in high school. Continue with your internships and looking for internships throughout college. And as you finish those different internships, ask for recommendation letters. Professors could be a good source to help find internships. I told you this story about Caitlin. The professor said, hey, Caitlin, there's this internship opportunity, apply for it. There's more stuff on internships on my website under the Downloads and Resources tab. You can review that. Some websites will guarantee internships for a fee. I'm not too keen on those because if you land an internship that you have to pay for and you're not getting paid to do that job, and that job is in New York on Manhattan Island, now you've got to find a place to live, it's going to be really expensive, okay? So look for internships, keep your eyes open for internships as you're in college. Use your career center at your college, speak with your professors, and talk with your counselors. And when you go and you talk with your professors, bring a notepad or bring a digital recorder. The reason why you want to do that is you want to be mindful of their time. And when you take notes, or better yet, what I do is I have a digital recorder, and I say, is it okay if I record this? Because I want to be able to replay it later on. And as I'm sitting with you right now, I want to pay really good attention to you and not have to worry about taking notes. Is that okay? And then I've got that recording there. That will impress the professors. Okay? And it could help you increase your grades. And it could potentially help you with internships and other career opportunities. Getting into your career quick, start your job search at the beginning of your senior year of college. Okay? It's going to take some time and effort to get into your first job. What many students, or even most students, do is they walk across stage, they get their diploma, and I've always wanted to do a 6-month backpack tour of Europe. And I saved up all my work study money. I'm going to do that. And then they go and they realize, well, I don't have enough money to go for 6 months. I'll only go for 4 months. And then they come back and they start sending out resumes. And they're like, well, how come nobody's hiring me yet? And then all of a sudden they get that magic letter. Ding! Hey, your student loans are going to be due in 2 months. We need you to pay them back. And they start freaking out. And then now they're in a crunch, and now they have to take the first job that's available to them. And it may not be the best job. So start your job search early. And all of these companies know that you're going to be graduating in a few months or in a year. They all know that. And they're not going to tell you, hey, drop out of school. That's not going to happen. And that way you can have 2, 3, maybe 4 different job offers and choose whichever one is the best one, the highest pay, the best benefits, or the whatever. So it's all about planning. Starting early could give you options so that you don't have to take the first thing that comes along. And parents, what do we do with them? Remember your parents, especially if you're the oldest that's going to be going off to college and you're the first one to go off to college. They just spent the last 18 years with you. They will miss you. It's your time to grow and fly and be free, yes, but please remember them. Schedule some time to call them on the phone. Set a regular scheduled time to call them on the phone. And when you call, don't always ask just for money, okay? If it's difficult for you to talk on the phone, it's a little difficult for me to talk on the phone. So what I did was I would have a notepad, and anything that happened that week, I would write it down. Oh, I did this. I met this new person. We blew up this thing in the lab today. That was fun. and all that. And so that when you call your parents, you can go, hey, I just met this new person, Steve. He was really cool. He's from Nebraska. And we were in class together, and we blew up the lab there. That was cool. Especially with the advent of FaceTime and Skype, calls are free, and you can see that your parents can see your pretty faces and your smiles and all that stuff. And breaks. When you come home for breaks, Thanksgiving, winter, Christmas break, or spring break, fall break, or any of that, schedule some time with your parents. They haven't seen you they've seen you every day for the last 17, 18 years. And now you're gone for 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months. Schedule some time with your parents. It's when you come back, it's okay to go meet up your old high school friends and stuff, but do schedule some time with your parents as well. And grades. Your parents will not know what your grades are unless you tell them what they are or you give them access. Because you are an adult when you go to college, if your parents call the school up and say, hey, I want to know what little Susie's grades are, they will tell you, no. Can you tell me how she's doing? Is she healthier? Nope. Can't tell you anything. Some colleges will require the student to sign an affidavit allowing parents access to their students' information, their grades, etc. So you are an adult and you are responsible for you. Colleges will treat you this way. What I told my students, what I told my kids is, hey, we just paid a whole lot of money for you to go to college. You're either going to sign this affidavit allowing us to have access to your information, or you're going to give us your password, one or the other. My daughter gave us her password, and my son signed the affidavit. And give thanks where thanks is due. Remember to thank your parents, relatives, pastors, priests, rabbis, teachers, counselors, etc. They all helped you get this far. A simple and sincere thank you goes a long way. If you're having any problems or trouble or homesickness, and that will happen, you will get homesickness, you'll be homesick, give your parents a call. And get out of your dorm room and go talk to someone and join a club. Okay? So let's talk about some miscellaneous stuff. Some other great websites is collegeroommates.net and residentassistant.com. There's some great information on there about roommates and what you can expect and being a resident advisor. Some of you are going to rent an apartment or a house, and that's okay. So you may have this idea that, yeah, it's going to be cool to live on my own, have this. It'll be great. Me and Todd will rent an apartment and all that. On renting, if you rent, make sure that everybody who's renting that place signs the rental agreement. When my brother rented a house in the DC area, he split it with 4 other guys. And it was my brother and his friend that signed the rental agreement, and the other 2 guys did not. Well, one of those that did not bailed. Well, now they got to split rent 3 ways instead of 4 ways. If that person signed, then they would be liable to pay it for whatever that rental period was. Okay. So when you're looking at colleges and considering renting an apartment or a house, you may want to look at where that college is located. If you're going to school in Seattle, it is very expensive to rent an apartment or a house anywhere close to the downtown Seattle campus. So it might be cheaper to live in the dorm. It might be cheaper to live off campus. So you want to evaluate and determine which one is best. It might be a better financial move to become an RA, a resident advisor, than to pay for an apartment. We'll talk about that in a second. Student loans and parent loans, you're going to need your FSA IDs, and that is conveniently located on the FAFSASOFT program. That information is there, and you'll need that to go through loan counseling. And I'll send out a text message and an email reminder on this. If you decide that you're going to accept loans, then you want to start the loan counseling process in early July. And the reason is because it does take about 30 days to go through underwriting. You need to go through all that paperwork and all that stuff. So you want to make sure that everything is approved in time before you start. Otherwise, it's going to cause some panic. Some other miscellaneous stuff is beware of credit card offers. When students go to college and you are a brand new college student, credit card companies look at you as fresh meat and fresh prey. And these credit card companies will come on campus and they'll have a form, and you need to establish your credit. Otherwise, you can't do anything, is what they'll say. And you can establish your credit by filling out this form. Well, I remember when I got my first credit card, I had a $500 limit. And I took my my then girlfriend, Jennifer, out to dinner at the Magic Pan, which is a wonderful restaurant in San Francisco. It's no longer there. And I took out Dawn and Donna. They got married too. And when the bill came by, I'll get it. Threw out my credit card. Here you go. Got it. And then I got the bill 30 days later. I'm like, holy crap, I got to pay this whole thing back. So be aware of all that stuff. Also be cautious when you have these credit card offers, because they are going to ask for sensitive data. They will ask for your full name, your social security number, your date of birth, your address, all of that stuff. And Colleges are very good at keeping all of your sensitive data private, but these credit card companies may or may not. What happened at a college a couple of years ago is some vendor came on and he took 500 or 1,000 applications, and whoever was running that booth decided, I don't want to go give all this stuff back to the credit card company. I'll just throw it all in the trash. So he threw out 500 to 1,000 credit card forms that had social security numbers on them, and somebody found it. Yeah, and we had some serious identity theft from that. Private scholarships. Fastweb.com and scholarships.com are some reputable scholarship search engines. There's a bunch out there. These are available in the booklet. You can check all those websites out and stuff. Any scholarship search engine that asks you to pay is not reputable. All of the free websites, fastweb.com, they do not charge you for that scholarship search. So to maximize your chances of winning for these scholarships, look for things that you are very special and unique in. Some other miscellaneous stuff is to send in your accolades, any new things that you've accomplished. We want to let the college know that information now. I alluded to that earlier. A quick little email telling me how you got promoted at your job, or you started a new job, or something like that. And it could read something like this: Dear Mr. Joe Smith, recruiter, I want to let you know that I was selected one of 6 out of 50 students for the improv showcase. Sincerely, Sally, student. And that happened to one of my students a couple of years ago. So I want to talk to you about some secret stuff. And this is returned money. Colleges admit hundreds of students who decide to attend different colleges because they've applied to more than one. And I encourage all of you to apply to multiple colleges. And when a student applies to a college and is admitted, some scholarship dollars gets tied onto that student. And if that student sends in a letter that says, I decline, I'm not going to go to your school, and we step in there and go, hey, is there any extra scholarship dollars? We might be able to get those dollars that were meant for some other student, okay? So I call that return money. So parents, call or visit the college on or close to June 1st. I will send out a text message and an email reminder on this. You'll reach out to the college and ask this simple question: are there any other scholarship or grant dollars that are available for my student? And here's the thought process on that. So June 1st is a key date. On May 1st is decision day. So the month of May, colleges are tabulating who's coming and who's not. For those students that are coming, here's the scholarship dollars that are going out to those students. For those that are not coming, oh, this money came back to us. So they're sitting on a big pile of money that's on their desk as they're going through all those students for the month of May. And then here we come on June 1st. I don't know if June 1st is a Saturday or Sunday, whatever that first Monday is, you want to reach out to them and ask that question, because some of that money, colleges are mandated that it must be spent. And if we ask at the opportune time, we could get it. So timing is everything, and who you ask is also important. So again, we don't want to talk to a student who's on work study. We want to talk to a key decision maker. Students, your first week of school, you, the student, go into the financial aid office and ask them if there are any additional scholarships or grants that you can qualify for. Remember I told you earlier that some colleges will give out money just because you asked. Well, you can't get if you don't ask. Some more secret money is applying for a resident advisor position. As a resident advisor, you will, basically you're a dorm floor manager, and you take care of any problems or issues that pop up with that. And typically you can apply for it for your sophomore year. So you have to live in the dorm for at least a year before you can apply for the next year. And you want to make sure that you check what date is the cutoff. I had a student who called me up on January 5th. And I said, hey, did you apply for that work study job? He's like, no, I forgot because the deadline was yesterday. Okay, so you want to check to see what the deadlines are for those things. If you're thinking about being a resident advisor, go talk to the resident advisor, the current one, and then talk to resident advisors on other floors. How did you do it? What do you like about it? What do you hate about it? What do I need to do to become a resident advisor? And as a resident advisor, you would get free room and board for that year. That could be $10,000, could be $16,000, somewhere in there, depending on what the cost of room and board is. Also look to join clubs and apply for a leadership position within those clubs, predominantly academic clubs. So Susanna, she joined the biology club and was elected secretary. And as secretary, she got $1,000 for that position. I asked her why she joined that club and why she applied as secretary. And she said, I joined the biology club because I'm a biology major. And I applied for the secretary position because it was the most money for the least amount of work. I'm like, awesome. Also look at getting a job in the financial aid department, see what scholarships you could apply for next year. I had a student who was elected vice president of the student body. He had a full tuition scholarship for his freshman, sophomore, and his junior year. And in his junior year, he got elected vice president. And that vice president position paid enough to cover the remaining costs. So his junior year at Chapman was free. Okay. Consider being a lab assistant, even if you're not a chemistry or biology major. There could be some money in it. Consider joining choir or pep band. There might be some money in that. Alex was, he got the health director position for his dorm floor. And basically he said, make sure you take your vitamins and get some sleep and, don't do anything stupid. And that paid for his dorm room for that year. And I had another student, Alex, who was the sports director at his dorm. And what his job was, it was to notify all the students of the different sporting events that were happening that week. Hey, we got a football game coming up on Friday, but did you know we have a lacrosse team? They're playing Thursday. And we got a curling team too. Did you know that? They're playing on Wednesday. You should go and cheer them on and stuff. So that was his job, and that paid for his dorm room. Keeping your eyes and your ears open for these opportunities can open these doors. So be intentional with your graduation goal. When will you graduate? Write it down. Be intentional with your college grades. Some scholarships are lost because the minimum GPA was not achieved. Be intentional with meeting new people, professors, and students. Plug into the college system. Join clubs. Be intentional with landing internships. Start on the first day of class and develop relationships with those professors. That can help you with internships and ultimately helping you get into your career. So let the adventure begin. Go to college, create a 4-year graduation game plan. Learn, grow, have fun, reach out to other students around you, make friends. And please drop me a note every once in a while. I like to hear about what's going on. I like to hear about all the awesome things that you're doing and all the awesome experiences that you're experiencing. I really do care about that. So please drop me a note every once in a while. And one of the really great serendipities of college is making lifelong friends. I made a really great friend. I've got actually about 4 or 5 friends from Biola that I still keep in contact with. And one of them, Todd, he's just great. And we're still really great friends today. He lives up in Idaho, and we go up to see him, and he comes down here to see us and all that. So you do make some lifelong friends with college. So go out and meet some people and make those lifelong friends. So what to do next? Contact me after you receive all of your award letters and schedule an appointment to see what we can, so that we can review them and see what we can do next. Please let me know if you have been selected for review. I will instruct you with what to do with that. And if you are not selected for review, then don't do anything. And then on May 1st, for all the other colleges that you were admitted to, you're going to do nothing. We're going to wait and see if any of those colleges reach out to you. They might reach out to you in May, mid-May, maybe even June. Hey, we want you to come to our school. We'll give you some extra dollars. So we could potentially use that as leverage. And trust but verify. That's our theme. And we want to trust that that your high school sends out your transcripts. So we want to verify in June that they did send out your transcripts, because we don't want to have a headache like Blake had. So check your student portals on all that stuff. Got questions? So for those of you that are online, if you have any questions, please give me a call or send me an email, and have a good evening. So we'll end the recording and we'll end the stream.